Well, I know I told Lucette to doubt Mithras, but I think she believes him a little. I wonder how this truth reveal is going to go. I go back to the marching with dark thoughts swirling in my head. There you are! We were worried about you. All I've been doing is trying to get answers from Delora. Why is it more difficult this time? Lucette, are you okay? Where's Parfait? Rumple and Waltz are seeing to her. The others are all in bed. Is something wrong? What do I say? How can I possibly ask them? My throat is closing up. Did you know what would happen after you cursed me? Did you intend for me to suffer? Lucette, that's... Did she? Could Sir Mithras have been right? Anger rises up within me. Do you know how it felt to sleep out in the cold, without shoes, without food, not knowing if I would ever have a roof over my head again? Do you know what it was like for my own father to look at me and not see me as his daughter? I advance on Delora and she shrinks back, pointedly looking away from me. You knew all of that was going to happen, and still you cursed me. And you call yourself good? Princess, how could you? Lucette, I have my reasons. Very important reasons. Is it because I'm a threat to you somehow? Delora's expression shows me that she is hiding something. She's been hiding something since the beginning. I wouldn't put it that way. Did you curse me to teach me some sort of twisted lesson? I told you before, Princess, that the wicked were taught to be good through curses. Everything I've done is to help you. Delora's face is pale. I can see the anxiety in her eyes as well as the guilt. She does not need to say anything else. Delora cursed me to hurt me. If she had wanted me to break it, she would have helped me, rather than just criticize my every move. All that she has succeeded in is keeping me from my birthright, and those at the March all agree with that sentiment. Lucette, I'm serious. I really just want to help you. Serious, when she has done nothing to help me. The answer is obvious. Delora does not want me to succeed. They are not different. They are the same. They are the same as everyone else. Sir Mithras was right. I cannot believe I trusted you. I thought everyone here was different. I thought you were different. But I was wrong. I turned to leave. Lucette, wait! Oh boy. I make my way back to where I was earlier, making sure no one has followed me. I see that Sir Mithras stands firmly in the same place. As I draw nearer, I notice that his expression is concerned, his eyes gentle. This is so bizarre. We're gonna be like on the other side, joining the dark side for a change. Are you all right? I take a moment to assess my feelings. There is anger, but also resignation. Was I expecting him to be right all along? Hey.
Rough night, huh?
Where did Varg come from? I'm afraid our princess has learned the true nature of her Marchen friends. I did not have to speak with everyone to know. No one in that place has any reason to help me. It's naive to think that their kindness does not come with a price. Come, let us leave this place at once. Sir Mithras holds out his hand for me, but I do not take it. I instinctively take a step back. You're already here. Is something wrong? Where do you intend to take me? To your rightful place. I will take you back to the palace. How? No one there will believe you. And you knew who I was right from the beginning. Why did you not take me back to the palace earlier? I apologize for the delay, but I was making preparations for your return. Preparations? You will find out soon enough. Can I really trust Sir Mithras? At this point, I'm not sure whom I'm supposed to trust anymore. I would rather stay with Fritz. Ooh. My eyes fly to Varg, but I do not sense any of Fritz's warmth on his face. His lips slowly curl into a smile when he meets my gaze. Secrets out, boy! I still have no theories about how to break your curse. Little Red Riding Hood. I mean, Little Red Riding Hood got eaten by her grandma, and then a woodcutter cut open the wolf's stomach. I don't really want to cut open Varg's stomach to pull Fritz out. Any theories, guys? Post them in the comments below, because I'd love to hear your ideas.
So the princess knows, huh?
Where is Fritz?
Sleeping. Should I wake him up for you?
I'm not in the mood for jokes, Varg. I want Fritz back.
You wound me, princess. You choose him over me. I can protect you better than he can.
His smile becomes more malicious when he sees the irritation on my face. I will be safer under Fritz's care.
Oh, will you now? Because I'm confident you'll be safer under mine.
Varg, do not be disrespectful to the princess. Varg scoffs, but says nothing more when Sir Mithras turns to me. Princess, it is of the utmost importance that you are kept safely away from the Marchen, and the palace is the safest place I can think of. And also, your mother requires something of you. What is he talking about? Mother is dead. Tell me what it is. I cannot talk about this here. Once you return to the palace, I will tell you all that you need to know. Right now, I must return to the palace to make the final arrangements. Varg will escort you to the Leviton so that you may gather your things. At dawn, come to the palace gates. I will ensure your entrance and safety from there. Until tomorrow, princess. Very graceful. Sir Mithras bows to me, but does not even spare Varg a glance as he walks away. Yeah, what is the whole thing? Are we ever going to get dear mother out of that crystal? I turn to look at Varg. It is still hard to believe that he and Fritz could possibly be the same person. His hair color, posture, and personality are also different from Fritz's. I mean, if you squint enough, you can figure it out. How could they be the same person?
Do I have something on my face?
I close the distance between us with a single step.
Watch yourself, princess. I bite.
You do not.
Excuse you.
Varg looks slightly shocked by my straightforwardness, which is surprising in and of itself. There is no reason for me to be afraid of you. If this is Sir Mithras' doing, then he won't let Varg hurt me.
Mithras has a terrible habit of running his mouth, doesn't he?
I ignore the flare of awareness in the pit of my stomach as I look closely at Varg's face. They are the same height and build, but that is not so strange. I lean in closer still so that I can look past the shape of his mask. His eyes are the same. They are Fritz's eyes. I can no longer deny everything Sir Mithras and Delora and Girl Got Game have told me. The man standing before me is both Fritz and a stranger. One of the people I thought I knew best, but now know nothing about. You are Fritz's curse, but I have not heard of a fairy tale that involves two people sharing one body.
Yeah, you really should brush up on your fairy tales.
Varg's voice is suddenly lower, a low growl in his throat. I feel a shiver run down my spine. I try to run away, only to have my attempt thwarted by Varg, who stops me by reaching out to grab my arm. You cannot hurt me even if you wanted to. Fritz would never...
Oh, but I'm not Fritz. Your sad little puppy knight might worship the ground you walk on. He might sit and beg for even a single scrap of your attention. But guess what? I'm not your dog.
Ooh. Ow. He abruptly releases me and turns swiftly on his heels before walking away, footsteps smooth. For a moment I stand there shocked. How could he insult Fritz in such a manner if they are the same person? How could a curse change Fritz into something like Varg? Do I defend Fritz? That's just gonna make him mad, though. I'm gonna save. I think my flip-floppy idea is correct, but it's when Varg is Varg and when Fritz is Fritz. I'll leave Fritz alone. I'll see how this goes. Why does he have that opinion of Fritz? If anything, Varg is the animal. Fritz is twice the man he is. I mean, Fritz is very much like a loyal puppy to you, Lucette, whereas Varg is very much a wolf. Varg continues to walk forward ever so slowly, but I remain rooted in place. Eventually, he rolls around and looks at me.
Any day now, princess.
I study his expression and body language. While his glaring might have made me nervous earlier, it does not faze me now. All this time I've been uneasy about you, even though it is your mission to keep me safe. But if that's the case, why do you seek to frighten and overpower me at every turn? I raise my eyebrow at him, then take a confident step forward. This time it is Varg that shirks away from me. What? He's sweating. Does having to answer to Sir Mithras and Sir Alcaster chafe at you, Varg? I suspect it does. I know that Fritz sometimes struggles with their commands as well. Unlike you, however, Fritz does not take his frustrations out on other people. He does not lash out at others by scaring them. And he certainly does not protect people by stalking them from the shadows. Ooh. But I got a crystal thing, so that was good. Varg's hands clench over his cane as he glowers at me. I feel like I still defended Fritz, so...
You always talk about that idiot. Do you know how sick I am of hearing about him? You want to know the truth, Lucette. You're wondering how two personalities can share the same body. Well, sure, magic was the catalyst, but the other part of the magic... Well, that was all Fritz.
What?
You think Fritz is some great honorable knight. Well, if that was true, his intentions would need to be good to the core. And then you know what? I wouldn't exist.
What is he suggesting?
Can't make something from nothing. Some part of your precious Fritz became me, princess. There was already something dark and twisted in his soul. The curse just brought it to life. And now here I am.
No, you're wrong. Fritz, twisted and dark? I do not believe it.
I think I know Fitzgerald a lot better than you do, Lucette. Don't think I act this way of my free will, at least not completely. I have these... compulsions.
The spark in Varg's eyes is dangerous. His eyes suddenly seem out of focus as he stares at me, his gaze glassy. Oh boy.
Ugh.
His expression suddenly twists, becoming something dark and anguish. He doubles over to the ground with a pained gasp.
Ugh. You are meant to be asleep.
Whom is he talking to? Oh, he's transforming. Phew. Oh, whoa. Wow. I watch in horror as Varg's body is eclipsed by a slow-moving shadow. The darkness envelops his body, and all I can do is stare in shock as his figure fades into a black silhouette. Before I can decide whether to go to his side or not, the shadows tumble like a fallen cloak. I immediately recognize the man standing before me. Wow, it's a full transformation. That's pretty cool. At least you don't have to put on that getup all the time. Fritz!
Princess, what are we doing here?
You don't remember? Fritz places a hand on his head and cringes. I see him stumble slightly as he slowly rises.
I'm not sure. I remember falling asleep. Then there was this distant pain that woke me up. And now I'm suddenly... here. With you.
Did Varg's emotions somehow trigger Fritz into waking?
I'm sorry, Princess. My mind is a little foggy. I don't understand what's going on right now.
Fritz shakes his head before turning to look at me with a tired, faint smile.
Perhaps I'll feel better once I get some rest.
You're right. Let's go back. I feel the tenseness come back into my body as I remember all of the things that transpired at the Marchen. The building is dim at night and looks more like a place of shadows than anything else. I clench my hands into fists and try not to shake. They intended to hurt me. They wanted me to suffer. My heart hardens into something cold and sharp as ice. Their kindness was a lie. Mother taught me people were like this. I should have listened to her. I finally turn away from the Marchen with conviction. I am not meant to stay there. I must go back to where I belong. Crazy.
Lucette, are you all right?
Why wouldn't I be?
Your personal maid left last night.
Yes.
Is it true that you caught her trying to steal one of your dolls?
Why would I lie about that?
I'm sorry.
Why?
Because she betrayed your trust.
Impossible. I did not trust her in the first place.
But wasn't she with you for years?
Yes.
And you are not at all saddened by her change of heart?
She saw the opening to take something from me and took it. I am not surprised nor sad. It was to be expected. All people use others to take things that they want.
Princess, why are we here?
He really doesn't remember anything about last night. I guess his memories must truly be separate from Varg's.
I've been trying to remember, but my memories feel like they're slipping through my fingers. Why won't you talk to me, Princess? If I said or did something wrong yesterday, I'm sorry.
You did not do anything wrong, Fritz. He was the one at fault, not you.
He?
When I open my mouth to tell him about Varg, I find that the words are stuck in my throat. I turn away after a few moments, the gloom settling back on my shoulders. But after hearing what Varg said, I do not have the courage to tell him. Not yet.
You think Fritz is some great, honorable knight. Well, if that was true, his intentions would need to be good to the core. And then you know what? I wouldn't exist. Can't make something from nothing. Some part of your precious Fritz became me, Princess. There was already something dark and twisted in his soul. The curse just brought it to life. And now here I am. Why won't you look at me?
Have I been a fool to so blindly trust Fritz all of this time, too?
Princess.
Princess, you are here.
Ugh. Sir Mithras.
The preparations are complete. You are now free to enter your old home. Sir Mithras pushes open the gates and walks through. I follow after him. I have so many emotions inside of me right now that I cannot even begin to parse through them. Before I take more than a few steps forward, Fritz's fingers curl around my wrist.
Princess, what is happening?
The look in his eyes is familiar. He wears the same concern and worry for me that he always does. He seems every bit himself, but he is no longer the same person to me. I'm going home, Fritz. I pull my arm away from his grasp and follow Sir Mithras into the palace without looking back. And what happened to the family? Resurrection. Chapter 6. Tell me the story again.
Do you never tire of that story, love?
Please.
Well, since you asked so nicely. Once upon a time, there was a queen who had a daughter.
That she loved very much.
That she loved very much. But the kingdom the queen ruled was a cruel and mean place. The people were liars and thieves, and it was terribly dangerous. The queen knew that the kingdom would never be safe for her beloved daughter if she didn't work to change it. So the queen worked day and night.
With magic!
Hush, dear. So the queen worked day and night and used her magic to take the bad people's energy from them so they couldn't cheat and steal and lie. And then the queen made sure that energy would stay with her and her beloved daughter so nothing could harm them ever again. And the queen and her daughter lived
happily ever after. Whew. There are 2 days remaining till my 18th birthday. Well, damn, that's quick. I have been living in the palace for the last few months, and while it is not what I expected, it is still not so dissimilar that I am uncomfortable. I get to stay in my own room and am served the same food as the occupants of the palace, only now I am not expected to share my meals with the king and his family. It was strange that nobody even asked who I am, not even the king, but that did not matter. What is important is that I am back in the palace. Only a witch like Sir Mithras could have orchestrated all of this. That witch. Magic was all I needed to bring you back here. Convenient, isn't it? Who exactly are you, Sir Mithras? What is a witch like you doing here in the palace? I am your mother's faithful servant, Your Highness. But I do not recall ever seeing you here until after Mother passed away. I did not work within the palace at the time, but once your mother passed, I took a job here to fulfill her wishes to protect you. I was consumed with worry when you disappeared all those months ago. I suspected immediately that you were cursed and that the Lucis bearer had acted to keep you concealed from me. If only you could understand the relief I felt when I learned that Fritz had found you. How will you prove that you're not like the people at the Marchen? That you will not lie to me or betray me? Sir Mithras kneels in front of me and places a hand over his heart. I made a promise to my queen that I would give you my undying loyalty, princess. I would protect you with my life. Him saying that does little to convince me that I can trust him. Everything I am doing is in service to my queen and my princess. So what is it that Mother requires me to do? Patience. I wouldn't want to ruin the surprise. I'm sure. Sir Mithras claims he is Mother's faithful servant. That should be enough reason for me to trust him, but I am still on edge. What is the surprise he has in store for me? My thoughts drift back to the occupants of the Marchen. They kept saying that they cared about me, yet I have not heard from them at all. Even Rod, who lives here, I barely even see him. And Fritz. Since I returned to the palace, I have been seeing less and less of Fritz and more of Varg. In the beginning, I continually asked Fritz about his memories of specific days, of the times when he was Varg. Fritz never seemed to recall anything. He just smiled at me sheepishly and told me that his age was probably making his memory worse. Fritz isn't even that old. Since then, things have changed. I no longer bother asking Fritz about things he surely does not remember. Fritz does not remember anything related to Varg. Yet Varg retains all of his memories as Fritz. I know I should tell Fritz about Varg, but it is the fear that he would not believe me, but also something much worse. I am worried that whatever it is inside of Fritz will only lash out at me, the part of him that Varg comes from. If I were Fritz, I would not be able to believe it either. I look toward my shelf of dolls, unable to shake my feelings of disquiet. The dolls are the same as always, their glassy gazes focus on nothing and everything. It looks so empty without... No, I do not miss her. I do not miss anyone. Right? The sound of footsteps pulls me out of my thoughts. Who else is wandering the halls at this time of night? I am unable to restrain my curiosity, and the emotion soon drives me from my room and out into the hallway. I gingerly follow the faded footsteps down the hallway, and there I see two familiar people. Sir Mithras and Sir Alcaster?
I grow impatient.
2 days is an insignificant amount of time when you have already waited so long.
I have been waiting years. The princess is safe, and will continue to be safe, just as you have required.
Our agreement was clear, Sir Alcaster. I will not help you until after the princess turns 18. I would remember the sort of aid you have requested of me.
What prevents us from killing Gennaro now?
A small gasp comes from my mouth, and I am not able to muffle it in time, despite the fact that I hold my hands up to my lips to keep myself from shouting. I stop breathing, even as my mind whirls. Kill the king? Why would Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithras want to do that? That sound...
Do not try and distract me. What do we lose by acting now?
We could lose everything if we act too hastily. I think it would do you good to learn some patience from your son.
Varg? Sir Alcaster?
Varg, what a pleasant surprise. Mithras smirks as Varg moves to stand just off to the side of the two men, his expression solemn. I trust that you obtained Fritz.
What are you talking about?
You have not noticed, even when your own son is being overwhelmed. Varg is gaining control, slowly but surely. He no longer has to wait for Fritz's consciousness to descend into sleep. In a few weeks, perhaps even days, Varg may be able to help us during the day.
Then that is why I've only seen Varg at night. If he can act during the day as well, what will happen to Fritz?
I hope you're not trying to avoid your mission in staying here.
How curious. Perhaps Fritz is stronger than you think.
That weakling. Don't make me laugh. I just find this extremely boring.
Varg shrugs before walking away. How interesting.
I do not approve of his methods.
What would you have me do to improve him? He completes every task you give him.
He has softened.
Well, let us see if he completes this task. Then we will know for certain where his loyalties lie. Oh boy, I don't like how that sounds. As Sir Mithras and Sir Alcaster begin to walk away, I exhale. I feel a slight shudder when Sir Mithras stops and gazes behind him, his eyes wandering to my hiding place at the end of the hall. My heart thumps loudly in my ears as I wait to hear him leave. The wind has a bitter chill to it tonight, like ice. Mithras turns on his heels with a slight twitch of his lips before he disappears. I make my way back to my room in a daze. My whole body feels weak, and when I eventually get to my bed, I crash down on it feeling numb.
They mean to kill the king. But why? Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithras are two of his most trusted advisors. What could the king have done to make them desire his death? And why does Sir Mithras want to wait until I am 18? What happens then? Does this have anything to do with that gift he was talking about? Does Sir Mithras plan on using me for something? I clench my hands into fists and inhale sharply. I think of the other things that came up in conversation. They said that Varg might be able to act during the day soon. Does this mean Fritz will disappear?
My breath catches in my throat at the thought. Oh boy.
Princess. There is no need to look at me like that. It's my job to know you, Princess. And right now I know something's not right. It is your job to protect me. Knowing me is a very different thing. Princess, please, perhaps you should worry more about yourself. My job as a knight is to protect my charge, to put their life before mine. If I can't protect you, how can I call myself a knight?
Fritz reaches out as if to touch me, but I shrink away.
Do not touch me. Sorry, Princess. Please know I'm always here if you need to talk. If Fritz disappears, what will happen?
I almost jump when I hear someone shouting just outside my door.
Quickly, Emmeline.
Rod?
I quickly stand up and move toward my door, pulling it open to catch a glimpse of the outside. I end up opening the door into Rod's face. Sorry, Rod. He comes to an abrupt stop and glares at the door that blocks his straight path. His hand is outstretched as if he meant to reach for my door. Rod? Emmeline?
It's so late. What are they doing out of their rooms?
Rod's fingers tighten over Emmeline's hand. They both look exhausted, and Emmeline is on the verge of tears. What is happening? Rod seems to consider something before he finally comes to a silent conclusion. His eyes glare right into mine.
Get out of the way.
Rod's voice is colder than usual, even for him. Emmeline's eyes widen as she stares at him in shock. Rod, but I thought...
This isn't the time. Ah, so here's where the rabbits escaped.
Varg? Varg is slowly making his way over to us, his posture relaxed, expression indifferent. He does not even look winded.
Well, this is a complication.
Ooh. Do not move. Help your old boo and your sister.
Is this the mission Sir Alcaster was referring to?
Rod tugs at Emmeline's wrist to prompt her into motion, but the two of them are too slow. In one swift movement, Varg has circled them and tripped Emmeline, toppling her to the floor. Varg moves forward to grab her, but before he can so much as touch her, I jump into action, pushing Varg from the side. I move to stand between Emmeline and Varg. I can hear Rod helping his sister up, but my eyes are trained on Varg. What are you going to do to them?
Why do you care?
Why do I care? Because I know this isn't something Fritz would do. Varg hesitates, giving Rod time to act. Rod throws a vial that breaks upon impact with the floor. Whoa! It releases a cloud of smoke that envelops everything around it. I feel someone's fingers at my wrist, and then I am being dragged away. Which one of you saved me? When my vision clears, I see Emmeline standing before me, holding my wrist tightly. Thanks, girl. I love you. Come on! What was that?
It is something Lady Parfait made for our escape.
Our escape?
Did you really think the Marchand gave up on you? We must move.
Aww, you guys, I miss you. We run toward the palace tunnels, a place I have not visited in many years. I thought they barricaded this.
Not quite.
Do you think we've lost him? No, not yet. Emmeline turns to me, her eyebrows drawn over her eyes in a look of sympathy. I'm so sorry you got caught up in this. I know that we were all meant to escape together, according to Rod, but we were not expecting it to be like this.
It was difficult to get a hold of you with Varg hanging around.
But thank you for what you did back there. Of course, you two. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't helped us. I'm suddenly uncomfortable speaking to her, so I turn to face Rod instead. What does Varg want with you?
My best guess is that he wants us dead.
That can't be...
How else would you explain the way he came after us, Em?
But why would he want you dead? Rod's bright eyes seem fiercer in the darkness of the tunnels.
I think it must be what his master wants. After all, dogs only respond to orders. I'm offended, Prince. You.
I whirl around, dread rising in my chest as I turn to look at Varg, who is slowly catching up to us.
This was meant to be quick.
Varg looks at me, his eyes glittering with amusement.
But as always, you complicate things, Princess.
I cannot hide how much I am trembling, but I still hold out my arm to protect the siblings. Go. Not without you. Go now.
Come on.
I turn back to Varg as the two flee. My body tenses as I wait for Varg to move. I will stop him, or at least buy them some more time. But Varg remains still as a statue. He remains rooted to the spot. I have no idea how long we stand there, frozen in place.
You never cease to amaze me. So what's going to happen now?
Were you going to kill them? He is not answering. Does that mean I am right? Is this what Sir Alcaster ordered you to do?
Why else would I be here if not for an order?
Why would he want you to kill Rod and Emmeline? And why does he want to kill the king?
You overheard quite a bit, huh? Probably a little more than you should have.
The tension in the air becomes palpable, and it becomes harder to breathe. Varg's fingers tighten on his cane. He wouldn't hurt me, would he? Varg moves, and for a few moments I am frozen with terror. Then a word I had forgotten long ago suddenly comes to my lips, unbidden. A word that Fritz once told me before. What? Adiuva. What does that mean? Getting all Harry Potter up in here? What's happening? This time it is Varg that freezes. He raises his cane, but it never comes down. His eyes are wild, even though he hasn't moved. Suddenly he looks as if he is restraining himself. I can see the struggle on his contorted expression, and then I realize that he is fighting to stay in control. It worked? I remain still for another moment, my mind racing. Oh, he's coming back. Varg drops to his knees, and I see shadows forming beneath him. Tendrils of darkness snake their way up his body, beginning to engulf him. This is what happened last time when he changed back into Fritz. There is still awareness in Varg's eyes, however. His gaze is cold and accusatory. It remains that way even as the shadow creeps their way up his face. I find my feet again and rush past Varg into the depths of the palace. I run, too frightened of what I might find if I look back.